Dan Donegan, guitar player for Disturbed. Moment. Oh, that's tough. You know, it's right now, since we're on touring mode, I've been just kind of in the zone of us, you know, what we're doing out here. And a lot of what we listen to in the dressing room lately has been a lot of more classic rock stuff. So I can't really... I guess if I'm going to name some modern bands, if you're looking for more modern bands, I think the ones that have caught my attention the most were Nothing More. I'm not sure if they've played over here yet, but they've from the States, from Texas, really good band, really cool songs and good energy. So they're probably right at the top of my list as far as new ones go. And just some of our other friends, I mean, and they're not even newer bands, but bands that came out with the same time as we have, were like Papa Roach and Nonpoint. I love both those bands, just high energy, and every show they bring it, you know, their A game, and make you have to step up your game, you know, when you're out playing with them. So I've always been big fans of both those guys as well. Probably going back when I first seen Korn for the first time in the States, and this was in like the mid 90s, and just the way they came out with it, just in the way they pioneered using the 7-string guitars and tune low the way they were, and just Jonathan Davis as a frontman. I've been a huge fan of his from the first time I seen him. So that was probably a concert that stuck out to me at the start of their career. When they came around to the Chicago, we have a very famous venue, the Aragon Ballroom, and this is a venue to where back in the Chicago gangster days, where Al Capone, the big gangster mafia, used to go into this ballroom and stuff, and so it has a lot of history behind it. But that's the venue that I seen Korn at, and besides them, I'll just throw something out there that's completely different and off the wall, but Fleetwood Mac. I went to see them a few years back for the first time, and I've always liked Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham and just the talent within the band. And I never really planned to go see them live. I just heard songs on the radio and thought they were good songs and catchy. But when I seen them live, I had a new respect for how great they really are. Just the harmonies within the band, how everybody sings, and the musicianship, and just Lindsey Buckingham as a frontman and as a guitar player. I never really realized how great he was on guitar until I witnessed it live. And then third, I'd have to say maybe Pantera. In those early days of Pantera, there was a big turning point in my life where me and Mike, our drummer, were at a Pantera concert, and we weren't signed yet. We were just a local band trying to make it, and we went to see Pantera, and I remember hearing that first opening chord just ripping through the PA, and we just looked at each other there was so much power behind that, and they sounded so good, and just Mike being a big Vinnie Paul fan as drummers, and Dimebag a big influence on me on guitar. It was just one of those turning points in our lives to where we heard that opening chord and looked at each other and said, you know, we need to be on that side of the stage. You know, we need to be up there someday. And so that was a very memorable one for me. It was definitely a huge inspiration. You know, it pushed us to keep working. Every time we'd go to see concerts as kids, you know, the first thing I'd want to do when I get home in the middle of the night is pick up my guitar and play, because I'm inspired by what I just seen. And we knew that we had to put in time. We had to work and develop and try to find our sound and find the thing that would make us our own.
Be water, my friend, like that. You see?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. I would definitely say Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. Just being the riff master of heavy metal guitar players, and I just always liked kind of the dark, heavy choice of notes that he would pick. Even something as simple as the song Black Sabbath, in 3 notes, it just sounded so dark, and I liked the vibe of it, and I'd say, well, back to Dimebag again, to just inspiration from him, and not only being able to be a shredder, but he was tasteful to me. It wasn't always just shred. It was very melodic, for me as well. And then I'm going to go for the time to where I really started picking up the guitar and knew I wanted to be a guitar player was more so in the 80s. And so when I look back at the 80s bands, even though they get a bad rap for being the hair metal bands in that era, all of those bands had great guitar players in there. And the one that really inspired me was George Lynch from Donegan. He was just another guy who was, technically a great player, but still played tastefully. A lot of his guitar solos were memorable. They were just hooks as much as a vocal melody may be. He was singing to me on guitar, and that's kind of what really inspired me to want to play. I never wanted to be a guitar player, was just play as many notes as you can and try to be really, really fast. I mean, sometimes that's cool, and sometimes it may set the mood for a certain song, but I've always liked guitar players who incorporate more melody. I want people to know it. It reminds me of a time when we were playing a show in South America, and the equipment went out. We had a problem with the power in the building, and we were playing our song Inside the Fire, and the guitar solo was coming up, and my amp cut out. And right when it cut out, the fans sang my guitar solo. So I had chills up my spine, thinking like that was such a cool, powerful moment that it was melodic enough for them to know it, to sing the solo, which was great. In the past, I have always had a hard time naming them because they're so also personal to us. But now that there's things that really have become so powerful for us in a song like The Light. It's just such a big, powerful moment of the night for us, and we have. Lately we've been bringing some fans up, some random fans in there up on stage to join us for that song. And sometimes they may share a personal story with us in the audience. And it's just I enjoy playing it. It feels therapeutic in that moment. And same for a song like A Reason to Fight, just because it's somewhat of a departure for us, with that being kind of our newest single right now. And it's acoustic, and it's about, addiction and depression. And we've all had family members or close personal friends that or colleagues of ours that have always unfortunately had to battle those demons of addiction and depression. So I enjoy playing it because I see people also finding therapy in the song. I see the emotion on their faces, knowing that they've also have struggled, or they have loved ones that are or have struggled with it. So I think that it's a good moment because people realize that they're not alone in battling those demons. And I guess the third one, I'm still not tired of playing Down with the Sickness, even though we've written that song so long ago. And people would say, you ever get tired of playing that? I don't, because of the energy we get from the crowd. The second that drum beat starts, and it's such a signature beat, and people identify it right away, and the crowd roars even louder. It's just such an adrenaline rush. And, so it still gives it new life every night we play it. It's a new faces, new crowd, and that energy just brings it up another level.